Welcome to Minding My Money. I'm your host, Shawnee, and this is where the journey to financial freedom is real, raw, and a little bit fun. I'm sharing my wins, my lessons, and everything in between, $1 at a time. Now, before we jump in, let me say this. This ain't financial advice, just financial realness. This episode is for the moment when pretending is no longer an option. No more avoiding your bank balance, no more spending to cope. It's time to get back to life and back to your financial reality. I realized money wasn't sustainable when I got my first apartment. Rent was just under $700 and utilities were always $300 plus, which to me made no sense because at that time I worked night shift and was barely home, meaning no lights were ever on, the TV was never running. I literally went to work, got home, took a shower, slept, and repeat. But my account was always overdrafted. I was overspending on material things and had nothing to show for it. At one point, I started paying rent with checks. That is, until the leasing office banned me from using them because the funds wouldn't clear fast enough. They made me switch to money orders, which meant I had to wait until payday. By then, I was already past the grace period, and that meant late fees, money order fees, and more stress. Eventually, my rent jumps up to almost $1,000, basically a full check for me at that time. Still, I tried to live a little, go out here and there, but I was tired, overworking with nothing to show for it. Every single month, there was a notice on my door. I always paid, just never on time. Then came late October or early November 2017. I got home after being out. I don't remember what I was doing, but I'm sure I had a good time. But when I walked up to my door, the paper hanging there felt different. It wasn't the usual warning. It was a final notice. The sheriff was coming the next day, and I had to be out immediately. But the thing is, I never got a first notice. There was no prior warning for that month, no reminder, just get out. Even when I was falling behind, I made sure no one could tell. I dressed the part, posted pics, and smiled through the stress. My hair stayed done and nails too, because if I looked okay, maybe I could feel okay. But the truth, image maintenance is expensive. I was swiping cards to protect a version of myself that couldn't afford to exist. Behind closed doors, I was drowning in bills, but online, I was good. And that disconnect, it's dangerous. It keeps you from asking for help because you're too busy keeping up appearances. That night, when I got that final notice, I had to ask my mom if I could move back in. I called a friend, my mom, and my cousin, and we all packed 5 years of my life in just a few hours that night. There was no more hiding. Everyone now knew I wasn't okay financially, but I didn't have time to be embarrassed. I was on the clock. My cousin asked, "Well, how much do you need?" But one thing about me, I don't borrow money. I refuse to stack debt on top of a lifestyle I couldn't afford. On top of, I'm prideful. I just can't take money from other people. When everyone left, I stayed in that apartment alone. I remember sitting on the floor thinking, I've worked so hard, I've dreamed so hard, and yet I feel like a failure. I cried all night, and I didn't even sleep that night. That was my back to moment life, a private, painful realization that I can't keep living like this. It wasn't just about being broke. It was about being tired of pretending I wasn't. Looking back, I lived in a fantasy world. I thought I'd graduate, get a job, and live happily ever after. But reality? Student loans, medical debt, collections, no emergency fund, and oh, don't forget, the IRS was on my back too. I was financially and emotionally depleted. But after a while, being broke didn't shock me anymore. It became my normal. I'll say I'll catch up next check, but next check never came fast enough. I learned to survive off overdraft grace periods, payment extensions, and hope. That's the danger of survival mode. It convinces you that barely making it counts as progress. And when you live in that cycle long enough, struggle starts to feel familiar and comfortable, even. But it's not peace, it's just postponing pain. When I moved back in with my parents, I had nothing but my thoughts. That's when I started sitting in it, not running from it. I started to read, I researched, I wrote everything down. Seeing my debt on paper, that made it real. No home of my own, that made it really real. So I made a plan. I told myself, this won't be for nothing. Breaking financial habits wasn't just about money, it was about unlearning comfort, saying no when I was used to saying yes. Remember, kid me made a promise to never say no to myself. And letting go of that thrill of treating myself when I hadn't earned it yet was hard. The internet glamorizes discipline, but in real life, it's lonely, it's humbling. And it costs more than cash, it costs pride, patience, and persistence. But what you gain back? Peace, stability, and confidence. That's real wealth. I got to work, and this is what I did. I paid off my old apartment debt and got it off my credit. I paid off the IRS debt. I cleared my medical bills. I set my bills up for autodraft, and I refused to create any new debt in the process. Student loan debt, that's a whole different beast. I call it the struggle that keeps struggling. But I wasn't adding more fuel to the fire. I even set that up for autodraft as well. It took me 4 years at my mom's house, 4 years of sacrifices, 4 years of saying no when I wanted to say yes. I gave myself spending limits when I did go out. I stacked, I saved, and eventually I built a home like a whole house from the ground up. You see, moving back home wasn't just a reset, it was a rebirth. I started redefining what having it together really meant: peace over pressure, progress over perfection. I stopped chasing the look of success and started building the life I wanted, quietly, one deposit at a time. That's when I finally started minding my money, not just managing it. Let me ask you this: what's your back to life moment? That moment when you said, I'm done hiding from my finances. I deserve better. We faced the reality. Now let's celebrate the resilience. In the season finale, I'm talking about starting with little, grinding through doubt, and making it to the other side. Proof that the same discipline that saves you can also elevate you. From the very first episode, Money on My Mind, we peel back every layer of this journey, from mindset to mistakes, from I like dollars to the wake up call. Now, it all comes full circle. This is where faith meets follow through, where discipline becomes destiny, and where financial healing turns into financial freedom. From struggle to strategy, from surviving to thriving, from minding my money to mastering it. Catch me every Monday for a new podcast episode as I keep sharing my story, the lessons, the rebuild, and the mindset shifts behind the journey to financial freedom. And if you want to see it in action, join me on YouTube as I catch stuff each Wednesday, $1 at a time. So, if you've been with me since Money on My Mind, you already know this journey has been about mindset, mistakes, and massive growth. We faced the reality. Now it's time to celebrate the resilience. Catch the season finale next week. Started from the bottom, now we're here, where we wrap up Volume 1 with a story about grit, gratitude, and growing through it all. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for tuning into Minding My Money, where every dollar has a story and every story brings us closer to financial freedom. If you felt inspired, learned something new, or just vibe with the journey, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs it. You can also catch more content and behind the scenes moments on YouTube and Instagram. Just search Minding My Money. Until next time, keep minding your money $1 at a time.